Welcome to Dialectics of Decline. If you enjoy these works, please consider becoming a paid subscriber. While this work will always be free, it is the support of paying members that makes this project possible. Rage Against the Machines is Justified. A Defense of the Luddites by Scarlett. No one wants to be called a Luddite. When someone slings this pejorative at you, it means that you are old-fashioned, reactionary, anti-modernist. It conjures up the image of the guy who still has a rotary phone and uses a typewriter, who hates any and all new technology due to fear and hatred of the unknown. The Luddite is cast as an out-of-touch bulwark against the march of progress, a Philistine who stands between humanity and its next leap forward. But this is a sleight of hand. What if technological development didn't necessarily represent true progress for the average person? What if these technophobic reactionaries were misunderstood? What if the rage against the machines was justified? With the broad proliferation of artificial intelligence winding its way into every industry, promised to be the next big thing that solves all social ills, there has never been a better time to be a Luddite. Few groups have been as misrepresented in history as the Luddites. While they are oft painted as a band of unthinking machine smashers who abhorred the progress of the Industrial Revolution, they were anything but. The Luddites originated within a sect of highly skilled textile workers who made fine stockings by hand for the wealthy classes and were paid well per piece to do it. In 1811, when the merchant capitalists began to raise rents on the stocking frames, as well as introducing new wide frames that could be used by low-skilled, low-paid workers, the Luddites retaliated by smashing these frames and the automated textile looms which threatened their livelihood. In fact, the only machinery the Luddites attacked was that which used unskilled labor or imposed high rents. This was clearly not the work of a people who hated technology for technology's sake, but instead a group who rightly saw an attempt by capital to strip them of their ability to earn a living by replacing them with labor-saving technology and unskilled workers who would undercut them while making an inferior product. The Luddites also engaged in other actions like targeted protests and riots, and wrote letters to industrialists and politicians explaining their reasoning and their demands. This was far from an uncoordinated reactionary hysteria. It was a highly organized and historically progressive movement for the protection of workers' rights. The Luddites of the 19th century understood a lesson at the dawn of the Industrial Revolution that workers of every generation under capitalism eventually come to understand. Every time there is an advancement in technology, that advancement will be wielded by the capitalist to strip the worker of his or her ability to command a high wage, and if possible will replace the worker altogether. The Industrial Revolution itself resulted in masses of people who became permanently unemployed, the quote, Industrial Reserve Army. Our new technological revolution of robotics and generative AI is threatening to once again do the same. While generative AI itself is not as godlike in capability as those peddling it want you to believe, it has been sold as the skeleton key by Silicon Valley hucksters who want capitalists to believe that they can use it to replace their labor force wholesale. The allure of being able to lay off most of the country's workforce has proven far too intoxicating to resist. Capital has fully bought in, resulting in many baffling decisions like AI journalists that churn out unintelligible slop on news websites, and Google's AI overview that has degraded the utility of their flagship product significantly. In Capital Volume 1, Marx dedicates his longest chapter to how the advent of new machinery impacts the working class. With every new technological development, the capitalist increases his ability to undercut the labor force, moving from skilled workers to unskilled, thereby broadening the total pool of labor he can draw from and paying the worker less. Instead of this technology being used to shorten the length of time a worker must labor to earn a wage, The capitalist absorbs the gains in socially necessary labor in order to make more products in the same period of time, keeping the surplus for himself. While the capitalist makes temporary gains through this increase in production, eventually the entire capitalist class also adopts these technologies and the rate of profit begins to fall. This increased boom eventually results in a shortening of the period between boom and bust. The explosion in production also creates a similar explosion in exploitation of the global south, who is relied on to produce the raw materials needed for increased production. Quote, the rapid strides of cotton spinning not only pushed on with tropical luxuriance the growth of cotton in the United States, and with it the African slave trade, but also made the breeding of slaves the chief business of the border slave states. End quote. As artificial intelligence begins to be woven into just about everything, the contradictions between a workforce that needs stable employment and a technology that appears to be able to replace them heightens. Our tech oligarchs are now openly proclaiming that, quote, humans won't be needed for most things, and promising to replace human teachers, doctors, researchers, writers, artists, engineers, and more with artificial intelligence. While this sounds almost utopian at first glance, the idea that these gains made by the development of large language models will be passed down to the worker, giving us more free time and more prosperity, is delusion. It in fact goes against the very laws of capitalism. What is far more likely, and more horrifying, is that these developments will follow a path laid out by house philosopher of the Peter Thiel universe, Curtis Yarvin. Both Thiel and billionaire Marc Andreessen have close ties to the Trump administration and are acolytes of Yarvin, along with J.D. Vance, who has expressed admiration for the man. Yarvin has a vision for the future that involves the creation of a techno-feudal state with limited or no democracy that is run like a corporation, stating, quote, if Americans want to change their government, they're going to have to get over their dictator phobia. Thiel expressed his support for this vision in a 2009 essay stating, I no longer believe that freedom and democracy are compatible. This movement is rooted in the works of Nick Land, an English philosopher called the godfather of accelerationism, who wanted to create a system built around strong men guided by technology like AI that would hard reboot the administrative state and dismantle democracy. Land called this the Dark Enlightenment, saying, the ideal state is a capitalist monarchy described as GovCorp, the state controlled by an authoritarian CEO organizing policy according to the dictates of rational corporate governance. While Elon Musk smashes the administrative state into bits and Trump announces billions in investment in AI, we are already witnessing the vision of the Dark Enlightenment come to fruition. 404 Media recently found that ICE is using a database powered by Palantir, a defense contracting technology company whose founders include Peter Thiel, that allows ICE to filter people by hundreds of different categories and mark them for deportation. Clearview AI, another Thiel-funded outfit, is also being used by ICE, and the FBI uses artificial intelligence and biometric data like facial recognition gathered by scraping billions of photos across the web in order to identify immigrants and create surveillance dragnets. The implications of this are stark. The state can now identify anyone who has attended a protest, citizen or not, and target them for repression. A handful of companies have recently secured contracts with various government agencies to use their AI technology to scan social media and identify and deport visa holders who have expressed support for Palestine. The digital panopticon is being built before our eyes. The only solution to the hell being created before us is a total dismantling of this system and the building of a new one. Technology is not a dirty word, but in a world where only a handful of people reap the spoils, the gains made by technology will always be absorbed by the top. Technological development under socialism has the potential to free us all and give us more opportunity for leisure, but under our current system, it only has the ability to surveil, undercut, and repress us. The Luddites understood something that we must all internalize. that the capitalists do not have our best interests at heart, and that they instead seek to maximize their profits at the expense of the rest of us. While AI has some negative implications for the environment, those could be negated under socialism by the use of clean energy. The goodness or badness of any tool lies in how it is wielded. As the use of artificial intelligence threatens to take away our good paying jobs and place us all under a high tech microscope, only working class solidarity can save us. We must continue to rage against the machines to expose the contradictions of this system and how it is incapable of providing prosperity for all. Capitalism has long past exceeded its utility, and only under a new system, a socialist system, can we truly thrive and provide for everyone. It is incumbent upon us to seize the crises created by technology and use it to advance our vision for a truly equal world. We cannot afford to fail, as the future of humanity hangs in the balance. We are facing a sharp increase in the suffering of the masses accelerated by artificial intelligence, but we mustn't lose hope. In the immortal words of Mao, everything under heaven is in utter chaos. The situation is excellent.